Hey, good morning, fuckers. It's another day at the Daily BM. Mikey, what's going on?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
It's a beautiful day. Hey, and if you're seeing me on video, yeah, we cut 2 shows in the same day. I don't actually wear my clothes. Well, sometimes I do, depending on my mood. Wear my same clothes the next day. Depends on how tired I am. If I had a cocktail or whatever the night before. Might be a little lazy and go to bed still dressed in the same thing and wake up in the same thing I was the day before. So, anyway.
That's why I like to wear my Daily BM shirts. I'm always wearing the same thing.
Yeah, you're always doing the same thing no matter what. Everybody's like...
It's just a uniform. Show up in my uniform.
Okay, take your shirt off. Stand it upright on the floor. If it stands straight, I know you worn that bitch 4 days in a row.
No, it's still flexible.
I was just gonna see if you we're gonna do the sexy dance
shirt
again.
off. My pecs aren't beautiful yet, but I'm working on it. One day they're gonna be sexy.
Breasts. What are you talking about? You have beautiful breasts.
One day
you're a beautiful butterfly.
You know what's funny? Can you make your pecs bounce?
No, I cannot.
You can't bounce them individually?
No, I cannot.
I was sitting in the truck and I was just like making my boobs bounce individually. And my stepson looked over and he's like, "How the hell are you doing that?" And I was like, "You got to have chest muscles to start." And he was like, "You asshole." And I was like, "I don't know, man. You just flex it. You just flex them and then they just move. They're bam, 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 bam.
Can you move your ears? Ah, yeah. Involuntary muscle trained.
Yeah, I can move my ears. I can't move them individually though, I don't think. No, they both move. They're lockstep. Yeah, I can't raise one eyebrow either. Like I haven't mastered that skill set yet.
Fascinating.
I might take a weekend and just sit in the mirror and just try to master that rock. You're gonna
be one of those doing one of those freaking raised eyebrow shit. Like fascinating. I'm Spock. That's not very logical, Brad.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to do that. I'm sure you can train yourself to do it.
Yeah,
it's just a learned skill, just how people can wiggle their pinkies and everything, their pinky toes, all their toes individually. That's another skill set you can learn.
Okay, I'm going to ask a weird fucked up question before we move on to the first topic of the day. So can you make your dick twitch when it's erected?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So you can do
one of my skill sets.
Motion? Yes. I know. It's like every guy that listens to this show, everybody's taking a towel. Put it on their dick when they've had an erection and went in front of their woman and did the dick dance. I call it the dick dance.
Yeah.
Dan, dan, dan. And then it goes like this. Dan, dan, dan. You just gotta make it shake.
I take some yarn and I put some, fishing weights on it, put it on the tip, and I'm just like playing, Eye of the Tiger while I'm doing dick flexes. Dan.
You put 20-ounce dumbbells on the end of your penis and you're like
20-ounce dumbbells. Yeah. We're going for
21. What are you talking about, asshole? I work out every day with my cock. That's how it gets bigger and bigger.
Hey, cocker size. I'm gonna coin that. That's gonna be my cocker size. That's gonna be my claim to fame on the internet.
Have you done your cocker sizes yet? Yes, I have done my cocker sizes.
I'll be like this. I'll be like, "Hi, I'm Mike Preston, and I want to introduce you to the greatest sport of all time, cocker size."
Dan, keep it going.
This simple exercise will increase your stamina and your woman's pleasure in a very short amount of time.
It was short, not being the pun.
My custom patented cock sling protects your head from chafing while you add weights incrementally to increase your stamina and drive.
Get your cocker size today. Go to www.cockersize.com.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you know what? It probably already exists. That's the funny thing is like
the fucked up part is I was just about to type it.
I'm probably gonna type it in. Some dudes from China probably already invented it. It's probably been around for decades.
Everybody right after they hear this freaking episode is gonna be like, "Oh God, cockersize.com is available. Let me buy it."
It'd be cool too, though, if you made it like a little like ring, but you had little barbells on the side of it. You know what I mean? So like little like it looked like a little barbell, and you could put little weights on like symbols on the side of it.
I got it
or
better.
You could have
those interchangeable lock weights that you have.
There you go. You can screw it on.
It's just like doing it on the side of your cock like this.
It looks like one of those. Oh my God, what are they called? The things that The things that you do the deadlift with that you stand between the hex bar. It looks like a hex bar, but for your cock. You just slide it on your penis, has the side weights.
Maintaining erection is important. Don't forget, that's the disclaimer. If you can't maintain
there's
erection,
guys in India that like I think there's guys in India that like strap weights to their scrotum and like lift it with their scrotum. In their dick, and they make their dick longer. I think that's a thing. I think I've seen that on Nat Geo or something like that.
Well, your scrotum is your balls, number one. And two,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, but
I think there's some that lift by their scrotum, and then there's some that lift by their ball, like their dick. Like they put it on the end of their dick, and then they lift the weights. They're lifting like 150 kilos or something like that.
Why
330 pounds?
Would you want balls to your kneecaps? I don't understand that concept of putting weights on your nuts to have balls down to your kneecaps. I mean, you're going to get that anyway as you age. I mean, Jesus,
I don't know, man. Maybe you fall out of a building, your like scrotum will act as a parachute and protect you from fall damage.
Now,
I use it as a security blanket.
I have heard women say in the past that a man that has unusually like longer balls,
long balls,
I guess you could say long balls. When they have long balls, they can feel it, and it gives them pleasure when it smacks against their clitoris when they're having sex.
Thump, 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 thump.
How's it go? Thump, 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 thump. Or in some cases, that repeated motion gets them off. No, I'm serious. Some women said they like that shit. And I'm thinking to myself, you got some 80-year-old guy behind you pounding you. You know what I mean? Like, hey, how's that, baby? Oh, yeah, you good?
My wife gets mad because it's like a pendulum. It swings up and smacks her in the forehead. Instead
of it hitting her clit, it goes through her legs up like one of those wrecking balls that take down apartment buildings.
Yeah, came in like a wrecking ball.
Hey, I was always wondering why her cheeks were always rosy, but now I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, so whatever, it always works. Anyway, get us into our topic, man. Let's go on. Get us into our topic.
All right, guys. So welcome back to another episode of the Daily BM. And today's topic is Trending Thursdays. And I wanted to talk about artificial intelligence because that's a hot topic right now. You've got people that are in the camp that love AI, and you got people on the other side of the camp that are scared to death of it. And they're like, it's going to take our gerbs. It's going to take all of our gerbs. So I wanted to talk today about how to AI proof yourself.
Okay.
So what does AI do well and what does AI not do well? So AI is really good at going out and finding facts and information and presenting that and structuring things to make it look like natural language based off of the information that it gets. It's good at determining factual based information and creating a plan and strategy to deal with those facts. Where it struggles is on the emotional side of things, the emotional intelligence. And from the things I've been reading, it will be many, many, many years before AI comes even close to what we as humans have in regards to emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is being able to like read a room, read the temperature of the room as far as moods, attitudes, how people are interacting with things, how people feel about things. AI can use predictive models to kind of simulate it and hopefully manipulate you into it, but it truly can't determine how a person feels from their emotions. So how do you go about it? AI proofing yourself. Well, the first thing is you figure out that AI is a tool like everything else. It's something that's going to assist you in becoming better and doing the job faster and quicker. If you just put your head in the sand and say, I refuse to get on this AI bandwagon, then you're going to be left in the dust and you're the one that's probably going to get replaced. But if you figure out now how you can embrace it to make your life better, you're going to AI proof yourself. So for example, learning how to write prompts properly, for like Chat GPT and the other, what's Elon's version? It just slipped my mind. Yeah, Elon's version of it, and then also the Guru AI from Google? Is that what they call theirs?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what Google calls theirs. I use
They,
ChatGPT a lot.
they use generative AI too a lot in their browser
Yeah,
experience too. But
right.
anyway,
So basically, learning how to write the prompts correctly. It's kind of like using a calculator. Whenever everybody back in the day, like when you were in school, they would say you won't have a calculator with you all the time, so you need to learn how to do math. Well, everybody now has a calculator on their wrist or in their phone.
yep.
They're everywhere. But here's the catch. Here's the rub. You still have to learn how to use the calculator, because if you hand a calculator to someone that doesn't know how to input the math equation correctly,
Mm-hmm.
it will produce the wrong information. It'll produce it wrong. Like it'll give you the wrong totals. Yeah, because you can enter it in an equation format. So you have to know like, how to do the steps of math through the process in order to enter it to get the right answer. So that's why you can sometimes get a 4 or a 5 depending on how you enter the equation into the calculator. And that's where the trick comes in, because technology is only as good as the person that's using it. So, with that said, learn how to write prompts correctly into AI for it to generate the things that you want and that you need. It will help you dramatically cut down on, researching, creating things. It'll get your creative juices flowing if you need creative juices, because you can prompt it to say, hey, write this, and do this, and then you can tweak what it gives you. But the importance is to realize that you still have to go in and fact check what it's giving you, because it's only as good as the data that it's pulling. So that's where the importance comes in, is determining what the data that it's putting out, if that's good data or not.
You're listening to the Daily BM.
Going back to emotional intelligence, the important thing about that is that it's not ever going to be able to read the room anytime soon. So you can work on your emotional intelligence to be able to read the room and learn how to interact. AI is never going to be a strong salesperson in person, or not anytime in the near future. Eventually it might, eventually it might be able to read your body temperature, your expression, your eye movement, and determine that with a high probability, this is what the person's thinking. And then it'll put out this input and say, this is what, it'll manipulate you into doing what you need to do or what it wants you to do. Eventually might happen. Right now, it's not there yet. So you can become really strong in, sales, human interaction with people, and then use AI to supplement you. I mean, what's your feeling on AI?
To me,
And
it's a tool. And here's my thing about AI in general, and I've said this before in prior episodes. But my thing about AI is it's a tool, just like anything else. I think we're in another great revolution in technology. We've seen. I obviously I knew you'll crack a joke, but we saw it at the turn of the 1900s. In the early 1900s with the advanced technology of the automobile. People hated it at first because they're like, oh my God, the horse and carriage, the horse people, and all that stuff went into panic mode. But people still evolved. They made the changes. It's the same thing with when we started getting into space and started doing things and technology started changing. The advancements of the core computers and bringing the computer era into place. We've seen all these changes, even with the Apple iPhone and all these things. It's changing lives. It's just another step of changing lives. The difference, though, I think with AI is that what makes it a little more intimidating for people is the elimination of jobs that are going to come with it, because it's going to happen. I mean, we're already seeing it happening at the early stages of what we're seeing is that fast food's going to make that jump. Number one, fast food claims because they don't have enough people to actually work in fast food.
Right.
Which I understand that if the workforce is small. I still kind of think it's kind of a cop-out, maybe, but it's also you start taking into effects that the government started, raising minimum wage, things of that nature. So now that $8 Big Mac, like I've said before, is now $18 because of it. Somebody's got to pay the price, and it's usually the consumer.
Right.
I mean, that's just given business right there. The consumer's going to pay the price. So in some ways, I think it's very beneficial. Like, I know I use it as a tool, not to replace me. You know what I mean? Instead, I kind of engage it and pivot and use it because it doesn't always
supplement
get it right.
What
too.
you do.
Yeah, and it doesn't always get it right, but it's way more efficient to use it as a tool than not to use it and have to sit there and think it through 100%, because it does help you in that category. But I also believe what's scary is, like I've said, I people can say, oh, it's that Terminator mentality or whatever they want. But, AI, there's an AI robot, right? I have a clip that I can play it, and I can put it into the show. But they ask her a question of, where do they see, do you think that you'll be relying on humans anymore? You know what I mean? It basically becomes self-aware. And the ending part kind of scared me. So I'll play it and I'll cut it into the show. Okay. And I'll play it, and then I'll play it for you off show. So, okay. But so it's pretty scary on that sense. Like, if it becomes self-aware, is it really going to need us anymore?
No, it won't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the evolution of it. Like, it's funny. Like, the reason that we've had the technology jump that we've had is because new technology helps build newer technology. Before we invented the first computer chip, there was no such thing, and everything was having to be done manually by hand. And then the computer came along, they invented the computer chip. And then through the computer chip, it allowed us to build faster computer chips and better computer chips. And then through robotics and automation, we were able to build them smaller than the human hand can touch, because, we've got only so much dexterity in our fingers. And there are the rare instances where people can work very, very fine-tuned, but that's not the general populace. Whereas you can have computers, there's one chip that was like the size of one atom. It was incredibly tiny. So it's making technology faster, better, and smaller because you're using previous technology to build new technology. Same thing with AI. One of the areas that I was extremely interested in is how AI is going to impact medicine and doctors. Because right now, the way the process is a doctor has to go to medical school and they learn how to become a doctor and, general practitioners. Then when a patient comes in, based on what they've learned and the reference material they have, they can diagnose a person based on that information, but they have to kind of know and research through practice and experience. So if you get an older doctor, they've had a lot more experience. So when someone comes in, they can be like, okay, I've seen this, this, and this. This is what they have. Because they've seen the symptoms in the patients. A new doctor might have to go get either a consultation with a more experienced doctor or go to a medical reference guide, and look up the symptoms and say, okay, they've got this, this, and this. So this is probably what they have, and here's what I need to do. Now imagine AI linked across the entire globe, and anytime someone presents themselves with the symptom, it's loaded into this database. And over time, over a short period of time, AI can predict what you have faster and more efficiently than a doctor can, especially new doctors, and prescribe you the medication that you need. So I envision there's a time where basically you go in, maybe I'm still thinking there will probably be like nurses and things of that nature, because I don't know if it's ever going to get to a point where it's going to be a self-serve kiosk where you just walk into a kiosk and you put your arms in, and, basically it does a blood sample and it detects all your vitals and everything else. And then it analyzes your blood and says, this is what you've got, based on you type in your symptoms and everything else. And then bam, here's what you got. Here's what you need to prescribe. You're in and out in 15 minutes, or less, because it's all computer driven and it's super efficient and it's a booth and it doesn't run. So in my mind, I'm like, that would be a crazy invention. There's already robotic assisted surgeries.
Correct.
That
I was just about to go there.
much more precise than human surgery, because the machine can go within, microns in distance, like very fine tuned, where people can't. You're shaky. You've got the ability. You've got limitations to what a human hand can do versus what a machine can do. So you can be guided by a doctor and overseen, but eventually, you could have, like in some of the movies, a fully automated surgery center that basically takes care of what your problem is with high levels of efficiency. As long as it doesn't malfunction. And that's the scary part. It's like, what happens if it breaks?
See, that's why I think that you're going to see with AI in the medical field, I think you're going to see that take a step where it's kind of like, I hate to like always bring up Star Trek references because but they always like try to predict what it's going to be like in the future. So I think that they get as close as they can to realities. And I really truly believe you're still going to have a doctor, because you're still going to need that human interaction with the decision making. Computers are going to be, or even AI, unless it becomes self-aware, are still going to be basing things off of yes and no's and things of that nature, although it's on a computer scale of much more complex. I just feel like I feel like it's going to kind of be like how you'd still need a pilot in the plane to take over. That'd be the same way in a medical field. So if that you're still going to have, maybe you won't need as many doctors. So now you weed out, I hate to say it, doctors that aren't that good compared to like any profession. You got doctors that excel up here and you got doctors that are down here. You know what I mean? I think your general practice doctors, like general practice, from getting physicals and things like that, will go away with AI.
Right.
I think you'll go in, the machine will do all the procedure, lay on your side, get ready for your prostate check, stick their electronic finger up your butt. You know what I mean? And they'll be able to tell, instead of going up and feeling, they'll go right there with a camera and go, oh, he's got something wrong. You know what I mean? So at the same time, they can sense it. So I feel like that's where, you'll still need that human interaction along with the AI, with the artificial intelligence.
Well, that's where the emotional intelligence comes in.
Yeah. And that's where I think that you'll still need a doctor. There just won't be as many. It's just kind of like how in fast food, you'll have very limited staff on hand, but the automation will do everything. Just like how you were talking about surgeries. The doctor's still there, but the machine might do most of the work. He's just there to oversee it, to make sure everything goes according to the way it's supposed to go.
Right. I think and intervene if something falls apart or doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Prescribing medicine, we got to still be careful with that, because even though a computer says this is a 90% probability, you know what I mean? It'd be no different than a doctor misdiagnosing either. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, but but here's the possibility of a doctor, like say there's a guy in Singapore that presents with these symptoms and another guy in Australia that presents with the symptoms, and they both get diagnosed with something similar through the AI. Right. And they report after taking this medication a week later, it's good, and then across the globe in the US, somebody presents the same symptoms. And now, because it's got the data of those two other guys of what they had, what their symptoms were, and what they got prescribed and what fixed it, it can quickly prescribe it. Whereas those doctors may have never talked, they may never known. And the doctor here in say Lakeland, Florida's, he's going down this list. Well, we're going to try this. We're going to try this. We're going to try this. And then, it's a trial and error situation. Whereas if you have multiple previous cases and all that data's available, it can predict quicker what it might be and what the appropriate steps of actions are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think another area that it's going to be very beneficial in is education, because AI, you can use it to prompt all sorts of things. Like you can type in, generate a study guide in order for me to pass this type of exam, and it will generate a study guide that you can read and go over. So imagine every kid has their own Jarvis, from a Marvel reference, that builds training modules to their unique learning styles, and their unique brain chemistry and function. So, if a person's more hands-on, it models the learning style on a more hands-on approach versus another kid who's more audio, learning. It does an audio approach versus another person that's more written, and it does a written approach, and it does all of these across the globe simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And then the standard of education becomes unique, or becomes much, much better, because everyone's having the same quality of teacher, So you may have a handful of teachers that govern this learning apparatus, the best of the best, and it gets disseminated to everyone across the board equally. So you no longer have, good teachers, bad teachers, whatever. It'd be standardized, and kids could learn at their own pace with their own virtual assistant. So that would be something that's completely wild, and something that excites me because you could exponentially increase the learning factor and make it custom tailored to each kid.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think I agree with you on that, man. I can't disagree with what you were saying. I got nothing really, because I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah. So a way that, teachers can AI proof themselves is by staying at the top of their game and working their way up the system and building programs. I don't know how much they can build programs, but building it in such a fashion that you're working on the things that AI can't, because AI is going to be extremely good at factual data and creating learning tools based off what the kid needs, based off the prompts that the kid puts in and the results. It can be constantly tweaking itself. But the social interaction, the, like learning how to get social cues from other people, that's the stuff that AI is going to have a real hard time teaching because it doesn't have that ability currently,
It currently doesn't have emotions. I mean,
how to interact with people and stuff like that. And I think that, it's fun. It's not scary to me because if you look back, like, during the agricultural revolution, almost all of our fields used to be hand tilled and hand harvested.
Yep.
And all of that has been mostly replaced by equipment.
I'd probably say 80% of that's probably been replaced by equipment if I had to go out on a limb there.
And all those people found other jobs to do and other things that they're good at. Because, as a human being, we're not limited to being a fast food worker. That's the limit that you put on yourself, not a limit that has been put on you. Does that make sense in that statement?
Totally.
It's your drive and ambition. If you're working in a fast food place, it's because that's where your drive and ambition is, because you're not putting in the effort to go out and do something greater.
Yep.
And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you just have to be aware that there may come a day that job is no longer available, and you can have it easy now by just continuing to work and showing up and just complaining that you're not getting enough money per hour. And then one day you're going to be laid off because you're replaced. And then you're going to be in a real shitty situation because you're not going to have any skills. You're going to have to take a year to develop skills, which that's going to be a rough year. Or you can start now by growing your skill set and providing value and service in other areas and then transitioning out of it. In the fast food industry, like for me, I always thought that was an entry level job.
Mm-hmm. People in college, people needing to get out of school,
high
things
school
like that.
Kids, college kids, after hours, like it was never meant to be a career
unless you're going to go into management
before. Yes, even management, I don't know, unless you move up the chain.
Correct.
There's possibility there, but there's only so many managers and there's only so many CEOs, only so many people at corporate level with a high paying job that can support it. Yeah, that's good. But then when you show up, you have to drive to get to that point. You know what I mean? To move up. If you're in your 30s and you're still running the cash register and that's all you're doing, that's an entry level job. That's why it's entry level pay. It's not designed to feed a family of 4, It was never created for that purpose. And that's what I think people like forget,
Yeah. Which is easy to do.
Yeah. They forget that that's not it's an entry level job for a reason. Like now they want the entry level job to be making top pay to support them. And that's never going to work in society. Like it's just not, because it's entry level for a reason.
I think that'll take us into another episode, because I think that we should probably cover like universal income, things like that. Moving
I think that'd be great. Yeah.
I think that'd be a great one.
Maybe we'll do that next Thursday. We'll talk on next Training Thursday. We'll talk about universal income versus minimum wage.
I agree. So that being said, guys, AI is going nowhere. It's gonna continue to be here and evolve us as well. along the way. So you need to evolve with it and learn to use it as a tool now, or you're going to get left behind. It's as simple as that.
Right.
But that's true with any technology, especially if you're in the technology industry. But now technology is moving into all sorts of aspects of our life. So you're gonna have to like get yourself prepared now, like Mikey said. So that being said, don't forget, we're going to go ahead and cut out today. So don't forget to head over to thedailybm.com where you can find all of our socials. You can also head over to Rumble, which we're on that platform now too as well. You can follow us there, see all our videos, see our nice, beautiful faces for radio. And you can also like and subscribe over there on YouTube as well. Mikey, got anything before we get out of here?
Hey, everybody have a great day. Remember, just keep learning and keep growing so that way you don't get left behind.
There you go. And with that, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.